Welcome, everyone. Please stand. We're going to stay there. They'll be right here. They'll be right here. We're going to please stand. We're going to say the pledge, and we're going to remain standing for the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of the community. Fill us with your grace, Lord, as we make decisions that affect the residents of NT, and continue to remind us that all we do here today and that all that we accomplish is for the pursuit of truth, for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, before we start, I'd just like to make an announcement for the students that are here. At the end of the council meeting, you can come up to anyone that is up here and they can sign your papers.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today on October 16th, Tuesday at 6:33 p.m. Can I have roll call, please?
I have Aldermans Tyler. Here. Pecoraro.
Here.
Berube. Here. Braun. Here. Zazelka.
Here.
Also present, Mayor Arthur G. Pappas and City Attorney Luke Brown.
Mayor, do you have any opening comments before we begin?
Nothing at this time, Mr. President.
Okay. At this point then, if anybody's willing to speak on anything on tonight's agenda, please step forward and state your name and address at the microphone.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sonia Duza, and I live at 123 Miller Street. I have to say this, President Zazelka. That prayer was like, get it over with, not coming from
That's
the
your
heart
opinion.
and meaning it.
You didn't write it, I did.
I would like to ask, on the resignation, on communication from city officials, number one, and number two, Jeff Mangus and Jeff Abbott, resignation as Assistant Director and Director of Emergency Management. Why are they resigning? I mean, that seems unusual. Two people, one have to be up at the same time. Did something happen that we don't know about and we should know?
One of them no longer lives in the city, so that's why he resigned.
Because he no longer, did he retire and move, or did he decide to move out of the
He
city?
moved out of the city.
You know why? Do you know why?
No, I don't.
It's curious. Of the,
Sonia, these jobs, you're not your own boss in these jobs. So if an emergency happens, no matter what time of day or of month it is, you have to respond. So it's a tremendous time consideration that people have to be on call to be able to respond to an emergency. So it takes a lot out of a person's life to do that.
we all know that. That's what the job is about. The same with the policeman. Hell, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't want to be a policeman today. That, their job puts them at risk. So that was unnecessary, what you had to say. It's a given. Also, appointment of Frank
Thank you.
DiBernardo on the planning commission. Can you tell me why the chair resigned from the planning commission and Mr. DiBernardo's coming on board?
Mr. Kenyon resigned because his work conflicted with the nights of the meeting. So he wasn't able to work his schedule out.
Couldn't rearrange him?
No.
Him?
Yes, he could
his
not.
company. Also, was it put out on the website, on the news, we've got this opening for a planning commission?
Yes, it was, Sonia.
It was?
Yes, it was.
Really? okay? You know, Mr. DiBernardo, there are well-known names, I'm not gonna name them because I can't name many of them, but there are a lot of names in the municipality that they are, Mr. Berube, you know about this, retreads. I'd like to see new blood. People, you know, now, people are more educated than we were in years back. They're, have information, the networks. I'd like to see that we have smart, good blood, good character coming on board. And it don't take that away that this is targeting you. Just, I'm speaking generally. This city needs to get away with that retread business. You know, if you've noticed, things are changing in this country,
Sonia, you have about a minute.
coming up. Also, I'd like you to tell us about Superintendent Public Works approval of memorandum of understanding with Niagara County Health Department. What is that about? And also, appointment of Mr. Krantz. It seems to me, I recognize that name, Krantz. Did he retire? Is he the one who retired from other department?
He was a
And
fire chief.
also, the approval of the North Tonawanda Brownfield Opportunity Area State Environmental Quality Review. You have documents that have taken since 2008, almost over 10 years to put together, and you want people to read those. They must read it to answer the secret, to respond to it. 30 days when you took like almost 10 years to put those documents together. They're lengthy, they're several, they require technical expertise or researching on, and they require thought. And you're expecting people to do all of this in 30 days. Shame on you, all. Shame on you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia.
Just one thing, Sonia, with the brownfield opportunity. A lot of that information has been out for quite some time, as you stated too. It's been a few years.
Some parts,
So-
not
Right,
all.
right. So if people, if people did catch up with that at least, and then the new material that came out, 30 days to read the rest that has been submitted, so what will
Mr.
be.
Tyler, even if, like the comprehensive plan, it's been out there, but there are people who live here all their lives.
Okay.
They haven't read it.
Yeah, well,
They're busy with their lives. A lot of people don't have computers, they don't know about it. So I stand by what I said,
Sure.
30 days. It's shameful that you would put that on people. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to come up and speak on agenda items and agenda items only?
Seeing that there's none, we'll roll the minutes for the meeting.
I have approval of the minutes of the special session, October 9th, 2018.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Zazoka,
Second.
second by Alderman Berube.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Proof of publication published 10/5/2018. Legal notice, formal bids on the processing of recyclables as collected curbside. Superintendent of Public Works.
Make the motion, we receive and file.
Moved by Alderman Pecoraro,
second?
second by Alderman Tyler.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
I have communications from city officials. John Mangus, resignation as Assistant Director of Emergency Management. Do I have a motion to receive and
I'll
file?
make that motion to receive and file.
Moved by Alderman
I'll
Zazoka,
second it.
second by Alderman Pecoraro.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Number 2, Jeff Abbott, resignation as Assistant Director of Emergency Management.
I'll make the motion, we receive and file.
Moved by Alderman Pecoraro, second by Alderman Berube.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
I have from the mayor regarding appointment of Frank DiBernardo to the Planning Commission Board.
Make that motion to receive and file the appointment.
Moved by Alderman Zazoka,
On
second
the
by-
question.
second by Alderman Braun.
So Sonia brings up an interesting point with Frank DiBernardo. It is a name that you see a couple times here and there, and I had a brief discussion with the mayor about this, and You know, there was one person that did apply. I won't say who she is, but,
Was that the one you referred?
what's that?
Is that the one you referred?
Referred,
You referred her for that,
referred to her.
to Art?
Yes, so she sent in a resume, but I believe it was like, you know, the morning after the deadline or something. But, you know, she had a master's degree in planning from Albany. She's worked on multiple projects, the DEC, you know, engineering firms, and she's an NT resident too, you know, not that Frank isn't.
But she was after the deadline?
She was the next day, but that deadline again is set by the mayor.
It was
So-
past, it was quite a ways past the deadline.
It was one
wasn't-
day.
wasn't one day.
I know it was one day, unless, because I think Dan got the documents, so if Dan maybe took a day or two to give them to you.
So where do you do the cutoff? Do you keep taking other qualified candidates?
Well,
or-
so my question becomes, you know, Frank has been a reoccurring name and, you know, he'll easily join another board, but someone like her, this might be her opening right now where she'd be interested, and if it's a rejected one, then she might be reluctant to in the future. And I think, you know, her background on our planning board is something that we could really utilize, her professional experience, her education. I just think it's something we should question, and not that, you know, Frank has no idea, it's just, this individual, she just exceeds expectations.
I would love to answer that.
Sure.
These appointments are the mayor's appointments. And the mayor does his due diligence to select the best person qualified of all the candidates.
So,
And so I think in this case, I would have to say that, you know, the mayor did the right thing.
well, I would disagree, other than the fact that maybe she was late by a day or so submitting something.
Or so.
Well, I don't know
Well,
anything.
right now, there's a
about-
motion on the floor and there's a second.
Right,
So you can vote not to.
so, Art,
Accept
do you
that.
think you would take into consideration in a future position opens, did you happen to read her resume?
Of course.
Yeah, and you did understand that she had quite an extensive background, right?
She had a good background.
Yeah, in planning specifically, right? And does anyone currently on our planning board have a degree in planning?
We have people with a planning background. Off the top of my head, I didn't appoint all of them, so I don't know if all of them have an actual
It's a
degree.
shame she couldn't get through the deadline then.
But there are particular reasons why I chose who I did. First of all, there were only 3 applicants. And 2 of them were late over the deadline. And the one that I chose had extensive planning dealing with this NT school system and their projects in the past, and has a considerable amount of planning knowledge behind him, and also has a master's.
But in
So I'm not
engineering.
gonna argue the
Yeah,
point.
thank you, Art.
Yeah.
So there's a motion on the floor, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay?
Okay, motion is carried.
From the city clerk treasurer regarding reappointment of Lori Swartz as Commissioner of Deeds for the city of North Tonawanda.
Take the motion?
Moved by Alderman Tyler,
I'll second it.
second by Alderman Zedzilka.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
From the city accountant regarding payment of the abstract of claims dated October 16th, 2018.
Make the motion that we pay the abstract.
Moved by Alderman Pecoraro,
I'll second.
second by Alderman Berube.
We have a motion and a second, can I have roll call on this item, please?
Alderman Tyler,
Aye.
Pecoraro,
Aye.
Berube,
Aye.
Ron.
Aye.
Zedzilka.
Aye, motion carried.
I have Superintendent of Public Works regarding approval of the memorandum of understanding with Niagara County Health Department.
Could you tell us what that's about?
Mark, did you want
Can you,
to give us a brief thing? I know this is just, there's no money involved with this decision, but
It's just, if there's an emergency in town and the health department has to come in and give, take over, we'll let them use our public works building they need to, in case of emergency.
As a point of distribution?
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Sonia?
What occurred that triggered
It's
it?
been, this is just a renewal of the agreement. It's been in effect for years.
What was that issue in that agreement?
Safety.
If there's an emergency in the town, we will let them use our public works building.
That's all that was? Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you,
Is
Mark.
that correct, Lou?
Yeah, that's correct. It's just designating the DVW building on Erie as a point of distribution during an emergency. So the county would come in, and if they had to distribute blankets or whatever it is, whatever the emergency is, that's where they would set up shop, basically. That's all it's saying.
Is that what the whole time?
Yep.
Okay, it sounds a little better today, but wasn't certain. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Do we have a motion to approve this?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Moved by Alderman Berube, second by Alderman Pecoraro.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
I have from the police chief regarding reappointment of Gary Lewis and James Mulbauer as Commissioner of Deeds for the city of North Tonawanda.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Pecoraro,
Second.
second by Alderman Zazoka.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
I have from the fire chief regarding appointment of Joseph Krantz as first assistant director of emergency management and Douglas Haynes as second assistant director of emergency management.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Alderman Berube,
I'll second it.
second by Alderman Zazoka.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
I have under monthly reports, city clerk treasurer, police department.
Make the motion?
Moved by Alderman
Second.
Tyler, second by Alderman Zazoka.
We have a motion and a second. Can I have roll call on this item, please?
Alderman Tyler,
Aye.
Pecoraro,
Aye.
Berube,
Aye.
Ron,
Aye.
Zazoka.
Aye. Motion is carried.
I have from community development, approval of the North Tonawanda Brownfield Opportunity Area State Environmental Quality Review seeker.
Make the motion that we approve the secret.
Moved by Alderman Pecoraro,
I'll make a second.
second by Alderman Zazoka.
We have a motion and a second. Can I have roll call on this, please?
Alderman Tyler,
Aye.
Pecoraro,
Aye.
Berube,
Aye.
Ron,
Aye.
Zazoka.
Aye. Motion is carried.
I have from communications from others, Tonawanda's United Veterans Council. Permission to close the Renaissance Bridge November 12, 2018 for the Veterans Day ceremony.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Pecoraro,
Second. Go ahead.
second by Alderman Zazoka.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of this?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
I do have a late communication, and I will read it before I ask for it to come to the floor. This is from the police chief. A vacancy exists for the position of detention aide within the city of North Tonawanda Police Department following the resignation of detention aide Julia Granto. It is my intention to fill this vacancy with the hiring of Jenna L. Federhold of 1241 Oliver Street, North Tonawanda, New York, 14120, effective Friday, October 19th, 2018. Do I have a motion to bring this letter to the floor?
I'll make the motion that we bring the letter to the floor.
I'll second it.
Moved by Alderman Pecoraro, second by Alderman Zazoka.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor to bring it to the floor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is brought to the floor. Motion carried.
Do we have a motion to accept the chief's recommendation?
Do you want to explain what the position is? It's, so from my understanding, and the fantastic officer in the back could back me up, it's for any females that are detained, right, in our facilities, and there would be someone who's on call, another female individual, potentially Fred Hold, to come in at that point and just sort of make sure nothing goes wrong while the other individual is detained, right?
Yes.
Okay, so everyone.
Do we have a motion to accept?
What happened to the old one?
She resigned, Sonia.
It's tough, weird hours, 3 in the
And what was she
morning.
earning and what is the new one being?
Excuse me.
Um,
There's no speaking
What's
out.
their base?
I don't know how much.
And you can ask it at the microphone. We're in the middle of a session right
I
now.
didn't have a late.
I'm sorry. It was,
I don't think it's a lot.
Minimum wage?
Yeah, it's not a lot of money. So,
Do we have
make the motion that we accept the,
I'll,
entry.
I'll second it.
Moved by Alderman Pepper, seconded by Alderman Tyler.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. At this point, if anybody wants to speak on any city issues for the good of the city, please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Susan Wilk and I reside at 329 Miller Street. I am concerned about that wetland on Sweeney Street. And I was recently at my church in Buffalo. We had a climate change meeting. And we're talking about the future of kids, 20-something, 30-something. They're gonna live with, there's gonna be a tipping balance in 12 years. And the UN has mentioned that, and climate change. The importance even of a wetland like ours, it should not be developed. The wetland has a carbon sink, and if these kids have taken biology, the trees absorb the carbon, the water, the dead plant material is absorbed into the water and stays there in the form of carbon. I, as experienced working for the DOT and knowing a little bit about drainage, you're gonna pave over more of this stuff, and there's gonna be runoff into people's neighborhoods. I also was in a workshop with civil engineers talking about erosion, stream erosion, which is going to become more prevalent and there's gonna be a larger volume of it going on. And you're gonna hit Tonawanda Creek, it's gonna scour bridge piers and bridge abutments. So you can look at it from a practical sense. But you got kids, you got grandkids, and unfortunately the Republican Party is totally blind and deaf and dumb to this issue. And I hope you understand that you do, ever so small an area such as the one I'm referring to on Sweeney Street, you want to destroy something. And you're destroying your kids' future and your grandkids' future. You don't seem to understand. And I hope to God, if you're really good people of integrity, nobody's taking any kickbacks from Mr. Muris, the contractor over on River Road who sells windows. There was a gentleman here I talked to who mentioned something about windmill power over on Lake Ontario. There's a group that's called Save Ontario Shorelines, and it's referred to as SOS. I don't know if he got his information from there, but it could be a Koch brothers front group. And Charles and David Koch are the two wealthiest brothers that don't want anything done. They want to compromise the environment because they made their fortune from the fossil fuel industry. And they want to make inroads onto every part of government they can get their hands on to distract people from what's really happening to our environment and to our government. Whether they be fronting the Tea Party or Prospering for America or the American Legislative Exchange Council, which wants to they want to pass legislation that would destroy our labor and environmental laws. Now, I'm just reminding you, this gentleman, Mr. Tylek, is holding his own. And I hope to God there's more variety and political power in this place, because these kids need a future. And what kind of future you're going to give it to them if you destroy the environment? I'm done talking. You have a good day.
Thank you, and I will challenge you on the proposition that it's a wetland that we're destroying.
It is a wetland.
So we shouldn't be able to build on it then, should we?
You shouldn't, and you probably, maybe the seeker or the
No, the DEC,
hydrology study was probably botched.
no, the DEC is allowing us to do what we
I
need to
don't
do there.
know, but there's a lawyer.
It's amazing. If
There's a
you,
lawyer, you have an environmental lawyer going after you people. And I
no,
remember years ago.
no, we do not. Do we?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, there, if
But you
it's
somewhere-
referring to 1100 Sweeney, there is a current action regarding that property.
I know I met Miss Downey and her husband Martin. And I also have done work with Liz Kosowski. And we saved that wetland across the street from the high school. and the kids at that time period helped save that wetland. You should get involved.
Thank you,
You're
Sue.
not gonna have a future.
Thank you, Sue.
Get to it.
Thank you, Sue.
You're very
Anybody else wishing to speak on any city business, please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
How's everyone doing? My name's Kevin Lorenz. I technically live in the city of Tonawanda, but I've lived in North Tonawanda my entire life, and I believe I'm speaking on the behalf of
Kevin, what's your address?
94 Cleveland Avenue, Tonawanda, apartment number 2. And basically, what I wanted to bring to the attention of everyone is, I'm not sure if anybody here has actually passed it. It's a small tennis court on the end of Miller Street, North Tonawanda on the Oliver side. Most of you, I'm assuming, when you drive to work or go to your day-to-day things, you don't even notice that it's there. What we've done over time, me and a collective group of people, obviously North Tonawanda members and some others, have basically made small obstacles, nothing bulky or awful or an eyesore, in my opinion, of course. But we've all enjoyed them, learned a lot of skills on them, and patience, and a lot of friendships have been blossomed in this quote-unquote DIY, do-it-yourself skate park. It was opened a long time ago, to my memory. I stopped going there for a while, and when I went to go back, everything was gone. There was a lot of obstacles that I'm assuming were destroyed. But basically, long story short, it opened back up, and me and my friends resumed skateboarding there, learned a lot. And just recently, there was the gates were locked, and there was also a sign that was put up regarding no skateboarding. To my knowledge, the majority of us have been pretty respectful to the community. I know a couple of people that live on that street, and no one's ever really given us any bit of guff, I guess. I don't know what the word is. Any challenges, I guess, as to why we were there or that we were causing trouble. And I was just hoping to find out why it was closed off and if we were causing any harm, and if so, if there's anything we could do in the future to, negate any hard feelings towards us being there, and to see if there is a potential future in us being there.
So, Kevin, just a background for everyone. So, one of your friends had reached out to me about the similar, concerns about the park and being locked up. And in the past few months, we've got a new department head for the Parks and Rec, right? And he had concerns about safety, right? And it's city property. And I had a discussion with the mayor about it too, and the mayor and our city attorney also discussed it. I was sort of felt like, let the kids skate, but obviously we don't want to get sued too.
It's a scary sport,
and
I agree with you.
It's easy to say, oh, we're not gonna get hurt, or we're not gonna, sue or whatnot, but, you still gotta cover your bases. So my question was, well, okay, so if we put up a sign that says, no skating allowed, or, skate at your own
I
risk.
suppose that was my question.
Right.
Some way to
fault
fault
the fault
ourselves
is
as
no longer
opposed
on
to
the
the
city.
city, yeah.
Right, so, and from my understanding, the mayor and the attorney said still we're not covered, even if we do put signage up, and I believe signage recently did go up, and it's
Yeah.
still locked.
Yeah, I think we've all been pretty respectful as far as not
Yeah.
going in there or
Yeah.
anything like
Luke,
that.
did you want to speak on that
Did
at all?
you?
Sure, there's a couple issues with it. I mean, one, it's not designed as a skate park. It's a tennis court, and you guys are leaving your ramps and things on the tennis court, so nobody else could use it for its intended purpose.
Okay.
So that was one issue.
Well, the last time he's been in that there was like 10 years ago, maybe?
Okay. The second issue is, you can put as many signs as you want up, people are still gonna sue the city if they get hurt. And the city is self-insured, and then I have to defend that action and spend time and money on it, on something that's not sanctioned or set up by the city. So, if you wanna go about it, I would suggest going through Alex, the superintendent of the Parks Department, and set it up so a way that it's sanctioned through the city, instead of just going out there and doing it, because you can put all the signage you want, as soon as somebody gets hurt, they're gonna file a lawsuit, and then I gotta defend it. I mean,
No,
it doesn't
I
it doesn't
totally
matter if
understand
they're
that, yeah.
completely wrong, I still gotta put in the time, the effort, and I gotta defend it, so
No,
that's
yeah, I agree.
my
That's-
biggest thing with
For
it.
the most part, why I was here, I figured there must be some kind of way where I could, get the legal permission or whatever regulations have to be
Sure.
made. Like that would
And then the other problem was, like Austin said, is Alex just started the job, it's the end of the
He's
season,
nervous.
so we don't really have time to do it this year, but I think he kind of has an idea what he wants to
He-
do
Naturally,
there.
it's
he's
so-
winter,
for
so I
it,
wasn't
yeah.
assuming that anyone would want to even
Right.
go over there
Yeah.
and risk it this late in the season. But yeah, it's nice to know that it could be addressed in the future. And is there a way that I could get after the meeting or anytime at all, like any
His-
contact information?
Yeah, I can give it to you, Kevin.
Okay.
Sure, we
Just
give it to you.
stop
Thank
by.
you. Well, I appreciate your time, everybody.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks, Kevin.
Anybody else wishing to speak on any city business for the good of the city, please step forward.
I'm next, Rich, on you. Those up before you.
Lori, hi.
Haven't seen her.
Lori. Oh, did you just come in?
Walt Yarrow, 170 Christiana Street. I would have liked to have come here with some data and some projections, but I wasn't able to get that from some of the city employees. It seems that I was given a soft shoe dance. What I'm talking about is I was looking for the linear feet, mileage, whatever you have, of our local streets and our local sidewalks. We've been blowing approximately $1 million plus every year on road repair. We do it over and over and over again. I thought we would have learned how to do it right by this time. However, we haven't done a damn thing with the sidewalks. I'm personally upset over that because a neighbor of mine fell and broke her hand recently on one of our sidewalks. A few years ago, my daughter fell and broke her hand because of the horrid condition that our sidewalks are in. I've spoken to the mayor and he said, if you do bring this up, you realize what it's gonna do to our taxes. Well, I really don't give a damn what it's gonna do to our taxes. We've gotta start taking care of the people in the community, and we haven't been doing that. The sidewalks need to be addressed. They're deplorable. I used to walk my dog. I can't walk him anymore because at night, you have no idea what's available in the way of a sidewalk. They're unsafe. I think our former DPW head, Bradley, had a device where he was going to lift up the sidewalks and level them off, cut the roots and all. Has anything ever been done with that, or is that just
Have you
another piece
turned
of
any-
equipment that's sitting there?
Have you turned your sidewalks into the department?
Pardon?
Have you turned these deficient sidewalks into the department?
What do you mutter about? What do you mean?
Like complaints about
Your
specific
complaints,
ones.
your concerns.
I'm complaining to you.
Well-
You're the people that represent us. That's your job. That's not my
Well,
job.
if
I don't get paid for
if I
it.
don't know
I've been
specifics,
there.
I
I've
don't-
spoken to people.
I know, but I'm asking for specifics on where you're referring to.
Are you blind that you can't see?
I'd like a little bit more specifics on what
Why don't you
ones
take
are
a
worse.
walk around the block of
Oh, I've been there.
Christiana? No, you haven't. I haven't seen you.
Well, I'll have to knock on your door next time.
Please do. I'd appreciate that.
But,
And you'll probably trip on the way there.
I'll tell you what Grand Island does. Grand Island says, if there's a deficient sidewalk, we're gonna replace it and we'll charge you for it. So the city cooperates with the people. I think that you're mistaken on that part. And we can only take action on certain sidewalks. Some of those sidewalks that are damaged by parking or that are cracked are
That's
not.
beside the point. They're sidewalk.
No.
They're there for the citizens to walk on.
Absolutely, and some of them are responsibility of the residents in the house.
Well, get them to take care of it.
We are.
You haven't been doing a very good job from what I can
We
see.
got a lot to keep up on, you're right.
Okay, the other thing, you have a clock over there. Why isn't it running?
I don't like it.
I think you bought
Do you wanna be-
it specifically for a son you
Do you
hear, and
wanna
you
be-
haven't been using it.
Well, he's got it
Did
right
we blow
here.
more money?
He's got it right here.
No, Walt, I didn't blow any money on it. It was free.
Oh, one more thing. Mr. Tyler,
Let's hear it.
had you looked into the dictionary, you'd have found out that a definition of the word recommendation is suggestion. So when somebody makes a recommendation, it's a suggestion, specifically if it's to your superior.
Who's my superior?
Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Do something.
We will.
Do something.
Anybody else wishing to speak on any city business? Mark, would you like to speak on sidewalks? All right. Our DPW superintendent is here if you'd like to speak to him afterwards.
He's the guy in the hat back there. Blue shirt. Mark?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carol Harvey and I reside at 65 Roncroft Drive. And what I would like to say is a couple of weeks ago, I had a fire in my home. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning on an early Sunday morning. And I'm not sure if this is the right forum or not, but what I want to do is I want to call out our first responders, our North Tonawanda Police Department and Fire Department for not just going above and beyond the call of duty to get there timely, save my home, save my pets. I cannot say enough about the compassion that I experienced with our first responders. They were hugging me, they were generally concerned about me. They did everything possible to minimize the additional damage to my home. And I just want to say how proud I am of our first responders and how proud I am to be a North Tonawanda resident for most of my life. And thank you.
Thank you.
If you are the folks responsible for maintaining our departments, I'm extremely grateful.
Thank you.
Thank
We're
you,
glad to
ma'am.
hear it. Anybody else wishing to speak on any city business for the good of the city, please step forward.
Some good comments, some good stuff, bad stuff. Thanks everyone for coming and speaking. Sue researches and she knows her stuff. I know what she said about the importance of wetlands, and you should really take that to heart. Again, shameful to all of you. 30 days to respond to documents, that needs a lot of time, not 30 days. This year, I got a notice of, I didn't cut my grass, it was a little taller than usual. We had a lot of rain, so I didn't get to it as soon as I normally would. But I did cut it, and it was done. In mail, I get a notice, a violation. I thought, not a good timing when it came, because I already had that done. And I think my neighbors would tell you, I'm really, I enjoy outside maintaining. I like to see things look nice. And I was surprised, I wasn't surprised, I was the P word. I received this, yet on my block, Summer Miller, the property on Summer Street between Oliver and North Marion, weeds grow like that. Not like this, like that. You go a little further west, it's like that. CSS property. I've spoken to the mayor. I've brought this up more than one time this year and the years past. Years ago, that used to be maintained. But in recent years, and I'll be honest with you, and I hate to in a way say it because it sounds like I'm biased, but when the new administration came in, the property on Summer between Oliver and Carruthers Recreation Department used to cut it, I don't know, monthly or earlier than that. And at least they got some of the Carruthers and Summer. It's worse than ever. And I'm thinking, it really ticks me off. Use a nicer word, ticks me off. They're reporting in the paper in the county about ticks, and I've seen in years past when you can see, what are the wildcats, feral cats coming out, they look like they were in the Holocaust. Very skinny, no hair, what have you. Other chuck, what do you call it? Chuck, the different vermins, what have you. This is a breeding ground. And you talk about pride. You talk about Oliver Street being nice. It looks like a dump. And it looks like we don't care. And I'll even add, we're gonna give it to Sonia Duza. She lives around here. We know how she cares about this, and we're gonna retaliate and have it worse than ever. My neighborhood has gotten worse than ever. When we got a grant by the city, Michelle Tove did a grant, we got our area, that census, that tract picked up. And the city of North Tonawanda promised to the federal government, HUD, we will bring this block up
Sonia, you
Well,
got a
you know
minute,
what?
Sonia.
It's gone into reverse. I don't know what that fellow was talking about, but I have been saying for years, and the woman who was head of that department, I said, the tennis courts, a car hit it, the insurance company, person who hit that fence sent a check to the city. I know it because Ed Adams said to me when I was at the county council right afterwards, Sonia, the city got a check for that. You never repaired that fence. And it was a tennis court. Now, and he said, that's the best tennis court in the city. And if you look at it, it is, you can tell. And the damage that is being done, you have to wear sneakers. Now there are young people roller skating on it, hitting the concrete, what have you. You're wasting people's money, taxpayers' money. You don't give a damn, just like Sue said. You do what you want to do, and that's wrong.
Sonia, just to love the energy.
You'll stop the clock.
So I actually, it's just funny because you're bringing it up, and I'm going tomorrow to meet some neighbor on Summer Street about the area. I go by there every now and then. I think Summer Street has a lot of potential because community gardens there, and then we can start to activate the park again, the park being where they're skating and so on. But I actually asked our building department to site CSX last week, primarily for Tremont and Oliver, and I think we're doing the same for that area. So it's a start to something, at least to bring awareness to them, because you can imagine they have thousands of different properties and areas across America. So,
Mr. Tylek, this is a municipality. It's not like you're gonna start doing things the way it is the practice, the normality. It is that we have a municipality
Right.
that is looking the other way.
Well-
We went through litigation and we prevailed. The city, even after I have announced, the city has codes that the building inspector has not been enforcing from early on, after our litigation. I have spoken many, many times. I think some of the reporters will tell you that they maybe think, look, see, they're tired of hearing it. The point is, we prevailed.
Thank you, Sonia.
Sonia,
Yeah, but that used to be the Tonawanda News. We didn't get that in the
Thank you,
paper.
Sonia.
The point is, the state passed a new law. When you ask the building inspector, you should know this.
Your time is up.
Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you so much.
This is important, I'll take just a few seconds. They passed a new law. When you ask the building inspector, code enforcement person, to follow through and he doesn't, you let the state know and they will follow up.
Well, thank you,
This is
Sonia.
one of the best things that happened in this state.
Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Sonia.
much, thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak on any city business, please step forward, state your name and address. Seeing that there's none, we'll move on to closing comments. Alderman Austin Tyler, or last night Austin Tyler.
Tyler? Everyone calls me Tyler. So as you may notice, I am wearing a hat. And if you don't know, I had a bet with a fellow councilwoman in Tonawanda as to who's gonna win the TNT game, right? And whoever loses has to wear the other city's hat. So obviously we did win, which is fantastic, right? And Tonawanda lost last minute. But the whole idea I'm wearing this is really about good sportsmanship, and it's not about winning or losing. It's about a team effort, right? And in the end, everyone can come together, and that's how I feel about Tonawanda and North Tonawanda. And I'm hoping this sort of resonates in a way, and that our future we can work together. Kind of gushy, I know, but Jenna Cook is a great councilwoman there. She cares a lot about her community, and I feel the same. So, I'm not gonna take my hat off because my hair probably looks like a mess right now, but other than that. But, so just a couple other things, Sue. You had brought up the environment. I care a lot about the environment. I have plans in the future, right? But tread lightly. But one thing. We can talk after, right?
Yeah, Sue, come on.
So, but I wanted to bring up, so I am organizing a small get-together, Thursday, at Manhattan Street. So a lot of people, if you don't know, we have bioswales or rain gardens at Manhattan Street. It's behind sort of, Crazy Jake's, like that big parking lot, that's a city-owned parking lot. And what Rain Gardens do is they collect a lot of that extra runoff from hard surfaces like the road, right? And it's a way to sort of slowly dissipate into our sewer system and filter it. So if anyone would like to attend that, I have a landscape architect who'll be going there. We're going to be meeting with Project Pride and just talking about how to maintain those, what we have, what we don't have, and just sort of an informal lesson. So that's at 5 o'clock Thursday. This is the 18th, so anyone's welcome to come. And another thing I want to bring up is the Oliver Street Merchants. We're having a pub crawl this Saturday, the 20th. It's from 6 to midnight, and you can find it on Facebook. There's some flyers around, and bars along Oliver Street and restaurants. They'll be participating as a way to just sort of see different facilities along Oliver, get some people on the street. It was a great turnout last year, raised around $1,000. So, and that money went towards, new planters, dog receptacles, so on, small improvements along Oliver Street. So I welcome everyone there. And
Not the high school kids, though.
not the high school kids, right? I forgot about that. This isn't 1983 anymore, yeah. Right? So, didn't they change the law, 18 to 19 and then 21 anyway? So, yeah, I wasn't even born yet. Anyways, so, I think that's about it. So it's always good to see a good crowd. Feel free to come up and I'll sign your sheets and so on. So thanks, everyone.
Alderman Bob Pecoraro, any closing comments tonight?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sorry that you had a fire, but I really appreciate our first responders don't get enough credit in the city, whether they're the fire, police, or the emergency medical personnel. So thank you for that. And I'm sorry that you had an incident over at your house, but it's very much worthwhile. Mr. Mayor, I do want to thank you for your appointments and your due diligence that you took for that. Also, it's important for us as a city to move forward. And then I don't know, leading up to the Tonawanda, North Tonawanda football game, we had a luncheon, and was anybody here in the room at that luncheon that we had on Wednesday afternoon, whether you're football team or cheerleader or something else? Anyone here in the room went to that? Well, I'll tell you a little about it. The Exchange Club and the Kiwanis Club sponsors both the football team and the cheerleaders for both the cities to come together. And we had Joe Licata, and if you don't know who Joe is a former UB Bulls quarterback and the #1 leading passer for the UB Bulls, come forward as our guest speaker. And he talked a little bit about what jerseys mattered most to him in his life. He talked about playing for the Cincinnati Bengals. He brought his Cincinnati Bengals jersey in. He also brought in his UB Bulls Potato Bowl jersey that they went to a bowl game that year that he was a quarterback as a senior. He also brought in his Williamsville jersey for the team that he played for in high school. And he said, you know what, the #1 jersey that meant the most to me was my high school jersey. So for all the high school students in the audience, take advantage of the time you have left in your high schools. Really embrace the time that you have there and learn from each other and grow, because here's a man that's trying to encourage others that the most important thing in his life was the time he spent with his friends in high school. So with that, I just want to welcome everybody to the meeting this evening, and that's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Alderman Mark Berube.
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Donna Braun with limited vocals.
Very sorry, I have laryngitis. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out, and I appreciate you coming down and telling us about our first responders. Very much appreciated. And I'd like to thank the Gateway Committee and the Webster Street Merchants and our Parks and Recreation for putting on a great haunted harbor this past weekend. We had a great turnout again with kids, and I'm gonna stop talking. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Donna. City Attorney Luke Brown, any closing comments, sir?
No, I don't have anything for tonight.
All right. City Clerk Treasurer Dan Quinn.
Alderman Braun, I don't think they heard you. Can you repeat?
Were you using your microphone?
No, two items. November 1st, parking ban goes to effect from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. No parking on the street. Secondly, leaf pickup is starting within the city. When you rake your leaves, do not put them into the street. Leave them on the terrace. It's the best way to allow the city employees to come pick them up. Leave them on the terrace. Lastly, I disagree with Alderman Tylik. It is about the win. Let's go Lumberjacks.
Amen, amen. And, Mayor Arthur Pappas, any closing comments, sir?
No, I think most everything has been said. Just want to thank everyone out there for attending tonight, taking the time in your busy lives to be a part of our meetings. And thank you to the lady who spoke for our first responders. We know they'll appreciate it, and I will certainly pass that on to the fire chief and the police chief. Thank you very much, everyone.
And lastly, I just have a couple of things. At our farmer's market this weekend, we had NT Momentum tent set up from the grants that we received from Governor Cuomo. And people got a chance to state their concerns with different projects that we submitted to the state that were approved for improvements along our corridor and downtown and various areas, and you were able to rank what you thought was what you'd like to see done first. And I think that's part of, what we want the feedback from you and from our residents on what you think is important and what you think should be done with those funds. The state approved, just so there's no confusion, $2.5 million to be used based on projects we submitted. You cannot take, I've heard rumors of, well, why don't you take the $2.5 million and put them in the roads? Can't do that. The $2.5 million was awarded for the progress that we've had with our downtown and Oliver Street, and we had a landscape architect down there, and people were able to see a map and prioritize what they'd like to see first, second, third, and fourth in our community. There are improvements in this community, despite what you may hear tonight, many improvements, and this didn't happen overnight, and we're gonna keep working on those improvements, and we're gonna keep growing our city and developing our city. And I think, to speak on a few things, Susan, if you wanna talk to me afterwards, I got plenty I can say about what's going on with that project, and there's nothing illegal going on, but I know those residents wanted to purchase that property and were turned down by the owner, and if you'd like to discuss it with me, we can talk about it. So there's a little bit of hard feelings going on there, but all in all, we had a public hearing to hear what those people had to say about that wetland, about that area on Sweeney Street, and we listened to what people had to say. Republican, Democrat, independents, we have independents up here. I don't appreciate anybody trying to make it a political, statewide, generalization of how I care about what's going on in my community. Because party or no party, we're gonna work with anyone that wants progress in the city. And I don't think you've been in enough meetings to see that. But I just want you to be aware of it, because I'm gonna speak for me, and you can speak for you, but I'm welcome to discuss it with you at any time. But I just want to say that's a common misconception. We're painting too many people with the same brush.
Well, the thing of it is.
You can talk to me afterwards.
I mean, I'm gonna talk to you.
Afterwards. I'm just gonna state that because I've been on this council for 8 years. We worked hard with the Walmart, we worked a lot for improvements, and there are more people that are interested in what's going on in NT. It's become a destination, that's why Governor Cuomo gave us money to make improvements. We don't wanna hear about improvements, I'm sorry, Sonia, but I'm just saying it, okay?
I'm not saying that.
Well, I'm just saying it, I didn't make these sounds when you were talking, so I'd just like some decorum here,
It's
please.
exasperating.
No, is it? But anyways, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Moved by Alderman Pecoraro.
And we have a
Second by
second.
Alderman Tyler.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is concluded.
pen? I only have a red one. You can still allow it. Both of us.
And you'd love to hear you say that.
You know what, the people on that area.
This is different than the other ones. The thing of it is, there's a group thing, and I know you're American, you said it.